coming back to you and saying, "You're sure this is all for the same borrower?" It all needs to work together. Some agencies have the borrower fill out the financial form themselves. Not telling you how to do business, but just make sure that it looks right and it works with the proof of income. If they're noting income that they don't have proof of, make note of it so we can tell what's missing here. If the hardship letter says they can't even afford their regular monthly payment, we're not going to set them up on anything because they're telling us they can't do it. So again, not telling you how to do your business, not telling you to write a hardship letter for the borrower, but if they are constructing it under your quote-unquote supervision, help them understand that there really isn't a way most of the time to reduce their payment, okay? So it is what it is. It's only going to go up most of the time relative to loss mitigation options. So those are the kind of things that you are so valuable in helping, in doing, that can benefit the borrower and your community and us. So are there any questions on this slide and on the whole dynamic behind the financial analysis and the qualification standards? Yeah, Zach.
Are there ways to like submit this all electronically to you guys, so that we get the financial hardship letter, the proof all scanned in, and we can send it off to you guys?
We have a couple ways to be reached by phone. We have a dedicated fax line, which you can fax it to, but what'll happen is that the fax will come into an email box that is actually the email address that's listed there. So if you have the ability to scan these forms in, you can scan them and then email them to us. In terms of electronically through a web-based portal, no. There have been a few attempts at, I think Fannie Mae had something that they were working on. I think NeighborWorks might be working on something where it's kind of an internet communication where, as you counsel someone, you'll be entering this stuff in on the web-based portal, click whatever, and then it'll populate on my staff's desk that there's this new file. That has been a challenge for Chase anyway, relative to privacy issues and kind of the two-way communication, because the kind of notations and the kind of interactions that we have to put on our system relative to how much is past due, relative to maybe social security numbers and things like that, are not things that we would maybe want going back and forth. So that hasn't worked out well so far, but I think there are 3 real solid ways to get a hold of us through phone, fax, and email.
If someone sends in documentation, maybe it doesn't look so good, do they have a second shot to send it in to make those adjustments?
Absolutely, absolutely. Again, if the borrower does it on their own, it's probably not going to be real accurate. There's probably going to be things, they're under stress, they're under duress, they're freaked out because they think they're going to lose their home. They're probably not going to be real clear in their thinking about filling out the paperwork. So no, it's not a problem. If you find out they sent something in, excuse me, it's not a problem to follow up with, whoever, with my team if it's Chase, with, whoever. And let them know that the borrower submitted some paperwork, you've reviewed it, it's not accurate, you'd like to resubmit that. And that's not a problem. Now, if they were approved and executed, let's say a modification, which is an option that Joe talked about earlier, there are absolutely some investors relative to modifications, it's one and done. So if the borrower has worked on their own behalf and been approved for a particular workout and a particular investor, and failed, so to speak, on that workout, there might not be a second loss mitigation shot for them. But that's going to be investor dependent. Sir?
2 questions. Email, will I accept PDF file?
Yes.
It's not a problem.
Nope.
Second, what's the mailing address? I've got a package to go out this afternoon.
3415? You can't fax it?
I can fax it too, but I'll mail it as well.
Okay, 3415 Vision, as in your eyesight, VISION, Drive, Columbus, Ohio, 43219. Mail code, MAIL, not MALE. That's happened before. Mail code 7370. Okay? Cool. Those were easy questions. Okay. Any questions more before we move on? Okay. All right. Joe already talked about the options specifically, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the options. He defined them. I might just park on one or two of them as it relates to something specific. You know, and one point that I failed to make when we started, you know, we're real